This is Danny Gould with the Selling Silicon Valley Group. Welcome everyone to another Silicon Valley market snapshot for the second week here in March of 2020. We interrupt this regularly scheduled programming for a topic that I'm sure is on everyone's mind, coronavirus. So I did a video about this last week, and things clearly have not gotten any better in terms of consumer sentiment over the last week here, not just in Silicon Valley. I think actually less so in Silicon Valley and more so just in general. Consumer sentiment has definitely played into the market taking a nosedive yesterday. Today is Tuesday. And yesterday, obviously, when the markets opened, they took a nosedive. And today, the markets have rallied a little bit, but still, we are in a unique position here where we're anything but certain as to what's going to happen next. And I think it's important for me, as the foremost expert on Silicon Valley real estate, to inform all of you to calm down. Really, I think everything's going to be fine. And over the next few weeks, I expect there to be a lot of uneasiness in the marketplace. I expect there to be a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear, and a lot of fear mongers. And this is nothing new. Anytime that there is a disease of the month or disaster of the month, etc., this definitely plays into, if you've been watching my videos for any period of time, this definitely plays into a worsening of the overall consumer sentiment in the ecosystem. What's interesting is that I'm working with a lot of buyers right now in the Silicon Valley marketplace, and most of them seem to be completely unfazed by the fact that coronavirus has had such a negative impact on the stock market, which is interesting because most Silicon Valley home buyers have quite a bit of stocks. And I think that it speaks to the level of maturity of the people here in Silicon Valley. I think it's different than most areas of the country. I don't know who's fire sailing their stock, but to me, you know, and I want to be careful with how I say this because I understand that there's a lot of emotion behind this, but it really, you know, to me is a little sad as to how something with seemingly very little impact on the United States up to this point has triggered such an alarming response. But I do think that caution, proceeding with caution, is absolutely necessary. And without getting into the semantics of the disease and everything like that, I do think that everyone should definitely take all the proper precautions when it comes to making sure that you don't do anything silly like, you know, touch your face, or don't, you know, go the entire day without washing your hands. Just, you know, the basics. Read up and make sure that you're educating yourself on how to prevent the disease from you know, infecting you, and or if you have it, keep yourself from infecting others. But anyways, guys, without, you know, let's just move on from that. I want to discuss how this is going to affect Silicon Valley home buyers and sellers in the immediate future. We're not going to project out 6-12 months into the future. Let's talk about the next 6 months. If you're a home buyer, there are two very distinct types of home buyers here in the Silicon Valley marketplace: the financed buyer and the cash buyer. The financed buyers, if your down payment is not heavily tied into the stock market, my suggestion would be buy fast, because the interest rates are historic lows. The Fed has proven time and time again that they will do anything to artificially pump life back into the marketplace. And they've done that already. And they're not going to jack those rates up anytime soon. They're going to continue to try and stimulate the market. So if you're a financed buyer, you have an opportunity to buy a home at a historically low rate. Do not let that opportunity pass you by, because even though the market might dip a little bit, if the interest rates, when the interest rates come back up, how much are you really saving, if anything at all? So that's definitely something to consider. If your savings, or if your down payment is heavily tied into stocks that have taken a nosedive this week, it would be wise for you to sit this one out. It would be wise for you to sit this one out. I do believe that the market will resuscitate. It might be 2 weeks, it might be 4 weeks, it might be 8 weeks, it might be 12 weeks, it might be 36 weeks, who knows? But I do believe that the delta there between your stocks and the market right now and where and what that nosedive did, it's heavily impacted a lot of people, and I don't want to. I don't want people to take that lightly. It might be to your advantage to sit this one out, but I will explain to you why this may not impact you as much as you think it would. And if you're a cash buyer, however, now you have all the leverage in the world. There are going to be a lot of home sellers that are panicking right now, for lack of a better word. And they're panicking because they're hearing it from everyone else, right? I've had several sellers call me and ask me what is going to happen and if it's still a good idea for them to put their home on the market. And for those that don't have, the foresight to see what's coming, don't have agents rather to educate them and let them know what's coming, then they're going to sit it out and they're going to play the waiting game, right? If you're a cash buyer, however, and you're looking at a home that's on the market right now, the added layer of security of your cash offer is going to be a huge incentive. It's going to be a big boost to the strength of the offer that you're making. So it's it's to your benefit to stay in the market right now, because the sellers that are on the market are hearing it they're experiencing it in real time, and the fear and the uncertainty and the insecurity that is creeping into the ecosystem right now is is going to have a positive effect on the strength of your offer due to the fact that your offer is secure, right? There could be financed offers, and there will be financed offers. Not could be. There will be financed offers that fall through in the next 60 to 90 days. People who come in, make the offer, something happens to their portfolio, or they get skittish, they get nervous, and they back out, right? Something happens and they decide that they no longer want to be in it. A cash offer, however, gives that added layer of security, and if the stock market is to take another nosedive and a financed offer is in contract with a seller, that security is not there. That security is not there for the seller. So it's to your advantage. And I'm working with a few cash buyers right now, and I'm making sure that the agent is well aware of the fact that if they take a financed offer and the stock market takes another nosedive, there is a 0% chance that financed offer is staying in the deal. 0% chance. So you gotta play into the insecurity, not just of the seller, but of the agent as well. So that's number one. Let's talk about if you're a home seller, right? If you're a home seller in this market, stay the course and do not alter your game plan. If the game plan was for you to come on the market in March, then you should still come on the market in March. And I'll explain why. There are many sellers right now who had in their mind's eye the idea that they were going to come on the MLS March, April, and they are going to, like I mentioned before, play this waiting game where they say, let's sit here and wait and see what happens. Well, eventually all of this is going to blow over. It might be 1 month, it might be 2 months, it might be 3 months, it might be 4 months, but eventually all of this is going to smooth over. My guess, somewhere between 2 to 3 months, okay? After all this blows over, we're going to, all of a sudden, all the sellers are going to be like, oh wow, well that wasn't so bad. Honey, it's time to put the home back on the market, and boom, all of a sudden you're going to get about 2 to 3x the amount of inventory that we're used to having in the May, June timeframe. That surge of inventory is going to cause the market to just go into a standstill. There will be a neutralization, a fast neutralization, and then if sellers decide to sell their homes, which some of them might, there will be a downfall. The added layer to this, and something that many people may not be talking about right now, is the fact that there are so many boomers in the Silicon Valley marketplace that are literally hanging on by a thread. And this nosedive in the stock market could be the last straw, and it could be the thing that ends up causing them to not just want to sell, but actually needing to sell. And as difficult as it is to talk about that, it's a stark reality right now. And it's something that we need to be paying attention to, because that coupled with this suppressed inventory that we're bound to experience over the next 2 months, could eventually lead to a huge surge in inventory during the June, July, August, the summer months, which, by the way, if you've been watching these videos for any period of time, those are typically the worst months to sell your home here in Silicon Valley. And then you're going to layer that with a huge surge in inventory. I mean, that is a recipe for disaster. And then at that point, projecting out into the future, then in August, September, October, you got the beautiful media coverage on the election that's bound to cause another wave, added layer of uncertainty and insecurity. And that's, to me, if you're selling your home past May or June of this year, it may not be a pretty picture. And of course, there's no guarantees, but that's just the way I see things playing out, because we're very, very, this is a very reactionary market here in Silicon Valley, and I would not be surprised to see that playing out. The other thing to keep in mind as well is that if you're a home seller and you heed my advice and you stay the course, yes, there might be a reduction in the number of buyers out there. But you have to remember, there's going to be an equal, if not greater, reduction in home sellers that come on the market. And here's the beautiful thing. If you're a home seller and you put your home on the market right now, just to make sure that you're not leaving anything on the table, and there are buyers that, and the buyer demand just isn't there, well, then you still have the house, right? No one's forcing you. You still have all the control. And I think that's something that is not or that we don't often talk about here on the Silicon Valley marketplace. If you do not need to sell, right, you have all the control in the world. Why not put it on the market when there is a guaranteed reduced level of inventory for the month of March that we're typically accustomed to seeing? And let's keep in mind, we already had suppressed inventory levels this year. We were lower than last year. We had a 50% reduction in inventory. That is going to continue to be the case. In fact, I would expect that over the months of March and April, as all of this coronavirus matriculates into the ecosystem, the fears, the doubts, the uncertainty, the insecurity, everything starts to creep in. I do believe it's going to impact the inventory levels more than it's going to impact buyer demand. And that's why I believe it would be to your benefit, if you're a home seller, to stay the course, keep the home on the market, or put your home on the market March, April, as opposed to playing the waiting game and waiting until May, because guaranteed all the home sellers that had the intention of selling in the spring, once this wave passes by, we're going to get a surge of inventory. All those sellers that waited, that played the waiting game, will come on the market at once, and it's going to be a very, very rough summer for home sellers here in Silicon Valley. You heard it here first. Anyways, guys, I know there were no heat maps, there were no data charts, there was nothing on this week's Silicon Valley snapshot, but I thought I owed it to you, the viewer, to really break down what it looks like to be a home seller or a home buyer in today's marketplace. Are there going to be people that are there going to be home buyers and sellers that suffer as a result of this? Absolutely. But I definitely believe that there is opportunity in this market on both sides of the spectrum. And it's up to you to figure out whether or not your situation, because remember, we're talking general macro ideas here, right? Your particular situation, your area, your neighborhood, if you've been watching these videos for any period of time, you'll know there are micro situations in this large macro economy here, this large macro real estate economy that we have here in Silicon Valley. And so if you have any questions about your particular situation, you know that you can always reach out to me. My phone number, my email, everything are in the description box below. This is Danny Gould, everyone, with the Selling Silicon Valley Group. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.